You know, let's just say I have a thing for other people's wives. What happened with Michael Jackson today is nothing compared to what I got away with when I was making out with your wife behind your back.
You know what, Kurt? Everybody made out with my ex-wife, so what?
Stephanie McMahon has for years been an intriguing figure on screen and behind the scenes in WWE as the chief brand officer. And over the years, several have talked about Stephanie McMahon and their issues with the daughter of the WWE Chairman. This is Wrestling Up, and here are 10 wild things said about Stephanie McMahon. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Up and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Vince Russo is known for his controversial booking career. These days, in appearances on podcasts and interviews, Russo is known for cutting into Vince McMahon. Though when it comes to Russo, McMahon's worst mistake is clear. As he said, you can't put someone as head of creativity if they're not creative and they're not good at it. Her problem was that once Vince put Stephanie in that place, there was no going back because she is his daughter. You were not going to say that your daughter failed, so putting in that position, there was no going back. If it had been someone else, I would have been fired. He went on to say that when he was confident he would be joining WWE and presented them with a year-long plan, he knew the writing staff were not happy for him to join. Talking on the List and Ya Boy podcast, Russo called out Stephanie again. During that time, Stephanie was not there. I think Vince told her he hired me. I had one conversation with her. She was so disrespectful to me. When she hung up the phone, I knew there's no way this is going to work. She didn't want me there. Her and Triple H wanted the power. There have been rumors that when Stephanie McMahon was underage, Randy Savage was intimate with her. The rumor was denied by most. Still, some like Savage's past girlfriend Stephanie Bellers talked about how Randy always liked younger girls, and when she was dating him, wanted to have a three-way with her sister who was only 17 at the time. Stephanie Bellers added that Randy Savage had told her about his relationship with Stephanie when he was high on ecstasy. He told me one day when we were on ecstasy on the beach. I think he didn't mean to tell me that, and then the next morning he goes, "Did I tell you anything last night on the beach?" I'm like, "You sure did." He knew exactly what he said, and he was like, "Crap," because it was kind of like the truth drug. Once he got that, he just started telling me everything. She knows and he knows what it all was. The origin of the rumor came off the offhanded comment that Randy made on his members only site in response to being called a dinosaur by Triple H. A user drew a conclusion from the comments made by Savage that he had been intimate with Stephanie. Macho had his way with Stephanie. She was about 14 back then, back in 94-95, and that Vince found out, and that was the true ending for Macho Man in WWF. Makes sense as the gent never was asked back or has been really showcased in those nostalgia video packages they do from time to time. It should be noted in 94, Stephanie McMahon was 18, not 14. Since 2015, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Paige started off the women's revolution with apparent huge backing from Stephanie. She appears for each and every announcement about the development of the women's division, as former WWE star Gail Kim took offense at the portrayal of the women's revolution and talked about her own experience in the company. Stephanie could have been fighting for us a long time ago. She was there every time I worked there, and she had zero interest in fighting for the women. So for them, everything is business motivated. Them having this women's revolution, and it's from the fans. The fans demand it through social media, and Vince heard it and made it happen. And I think finally the girls are getting treated the way they want to. It is known among fans Triple H was dating Chyna from 96 to around 01, which was about the time Triple H started to date Stephanie. Chyna found out after she saw love letters from Stephanie to him. She said she confronted Steph over it, and Stephanie confessed that she loved Triple H. She took me into the room, we talked, and she goes, "Well, I love him, he's my man, I'm sorry if you feel that way." And I shut her up. I said, "Shut up, call your dad in here before I'm going to choke you out. If you really feel that way, take control of yourself." Then Vince came in and said, "Let's do a new contract. I know this is tough for you, but it's going to be okay." Then I went home and I got a fax saying they didn't need me anymore. After her release, WWE never mentioned her until after her death and subsequent Hall of Fame induction. Stephanie is clearly not that different from her father or even her husband. Early on in his career, Triple H was known for burying talent, with him attempting to stay in the main events. Vince McMahon had Titus O'Neil suspended for 90 days due to holding his arm during a WWE segment while the chairman was walking to the back. And according to the Wrestling Observer, Stephanie took out some backstage heat on a WWE superstar on screen. There was a segment on Raw where Stephanie told Kaitlyn to never interrupt her again. This apparently was based on real life, as Kaitlyn approached Stephanie and talked to her, interrupting her while she was speaking to someone else. Soon after this, Kaitlyn went on to lose the Divas title. WWE was known for sticking to their own style of wrestling. The indies were developing, as writers in WWE were not supposed to know anything about the outside of WWE. A former writer talked about how Stephanie shouted at him for knowing about non-WWE wrestling. Dr. Ron John Chibnall told John Laurinaitis he had been a fan of his matches from his days in AJPW, though this did not go down well with Stephanie. Stephanie told me that a WWE writer didn't need to know about other types of wrestling to be successful. She said if I let wrestlers know I had that sort of knowledge, I would come across as some type of supermark and never be able to earn their respect. I felt like it was impossible to be respected. They hated you if you didn't know wrestling, and they looked down on you if you were a fan. This was during the early 2000s. Chibnall went on to quit when Paul Heyman was removed from creative. She even had an issue with Court Bauer when he used the term blading, which refers to a wrestler cutting to make blood appear. She told me never to do that again. I said, why? She said, only the boys can talk about getting color. I said, well, I was in wrestling. You hired me for my experience in wrestling. I've been in wrestling since 1998. That was 6-7 years ago. This is 2005. This is a little shady, but that's what she wants, and I was like, fine, no problem. Stephanie and WWE never had the best relationship with AJ Lee once she started speaking about the company's issues. During the Oscars, Patricia Arquette talked about the disparity in women's pay in her speech. Stephanie thanked her for speaking up on the issue, in response to which AJ Lee, who was working in WWE, called out McMahon on her hypocrisy, saying female talent in WWE had record-selling merchandise and had been part of some of the highest-rated segments on the show several times. In spite of that, there was a clear disparity in their wages, saying yet they receive a fraction of the wages and screen time of the majority of the male roster. Stephanie replied to AJ thanking her for her opinion, apparently hinting that things would be better soon. The matter was not addressed further on the public forum, but AJ would not be a part of WWE too long after. On top of that, Gail Kim talked about the differences in wages. They put their bodies through the same thing the guys go through. These girls should be getting paid equally. If there are two girls that are going to main event a pay-per-view, they should be getting paid the same amount as two guys main eventing. Vince McMahon is competitive. He hates to lose and even tried to prove he could out-wrestle Kurt Angle by tackling him. Talking about playing pool with Vince and Linda, Triple H said he and Stephanie managed to beat Vince at their holiday home. It was real close, but we ended up winning. Vince was so mad he had to leave and go sit outside on the deck for a while. Though like father like daughter, Stephanie could not stop boasting about the win and was rubbing her father's face in it. She apparently sang throughout the night, "You're tied to the whipping post, Dad," to irritate him. This led to Stephanie and Triple H hearing Vince scream in anger on the other side of the house. Vince McMahon is known for being eccentric, and in the early 2000s and late 90s, he was getting his family involved in controversial angles. One of the weirdest saw Stephanie abducted and almost forced into a dark marriage with The Undertaker. She was also a part of a storyline where Triple H apparently married her while she was unconscious. Once Vince wanted to do an incest angle with his family. Paul Burchill and Katie Lee Burchill were brother and sister, and they were portrayed as an on-screen couple. The idea was approved by Vince, but it didn't make it to TV. Vince suggested he be the father of Stephanie's baby on screen. On the McMahon DVD that was released, Stephanie revealed she had to force her father to abandon the idea. He was not ready to listen and said if he could not, then Shane could be the father. Still, it never made air. Stephanie usually portrays herself in a professional light, though on the Howard Stern show she talked about her relationship with Triple H and even her preferences in the bedroom, saying she didn't mind using the back door, and also the one time she tried bondage it was unsuccessful. She also spoke about how she did not mind getting intimate with girls. "I've not done it with a woman, but I've had a woman come on to me before. Actually at our last pay-per-view, I almost had hot lesbian action. See, my guy has lost a match and I lost a bet. So I was in the ring and these two hot chicks, one was in front and one was behind. One of them does that Playboy night show, so they were starting to kiss me and rubbing my arms and rubbing my legs. Yeah, I kind of liked it." She even said perhaps she would not be against getting intimate with another girl in front of Triple H. And these were wild things people have said about Stephanie McMahon. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.